good to go. Hey, Rolando, nice to see you. So that's good, good. Um, let's get started. Let's get started. I'm gonna go with currency first. Not too much on currency, so I wanna kind of go over currency. I'll go over a few that you guys asked me to go over, and take it from there, and I'll jump into other markets. Okay, so let's get started with dollar index. As you guys know, for dollar index, I still looking for a potential bullish push from where we are now. We know price has been moving down very correctively throughout all these corrections. So there's a few impulses down. Certainly has been dropping quite a bit without a further pullback. Looking at the higher time frame here, we're getting pretty close to the low. Okay, and I mentioned all the time that price doesn't need to hit the low in order to have so. It's always what the lower time frame is doing. So if we see what's going on here at the last bit of the price, certainly a potential head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulder here in the making. We have kind of a reversal structure, reversal price action. So my approach is the same. We want to wait for confirmation first. Confirmation, breakout followed by correction. Then we'll see potentially get more strength on the dollar and other dollar pairs as well. Okay, so understand that we have been dropping a lot already without some sort of a deeper pullback, right? We expect for price if it's going to continue, potentially forming deeper correction rather than just goes on straight through breaking this previous low. Okay, and that's kind of on the lower time frame here, at least for a potential bias, is looking for this as a reversal. But nothing is confirmed yet, right? Because this is still just within the structure. This can move down here once more, completing the structure from the bottom, and then we start seeing the next reversal up this way. So let's look at Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar finally looks like we are breaking out of this structure. We broke out the structure, even if a sharp pullback, but looks like we're forming a continuation. I've been talking about this for weeks now, right? We've been talking about it since from the top here, where price is forming the structure. I mentioned that a push to the upside, waiting for a correction breakdown. So we pushed the upside. This pit of the price is rather very corrective, but nevertheless, we actually broke out the structure here. We broke out structure and looks like we're forming some sort of continuation here, which is what we want to see here because in order for the price to continue down out of this for this full-on bearish kind of price, a continuation correction here is needed, right? Anything looking like this is fine. But the important part, in my opinion, is we broke out of this higher time frame structure and we actually have strong bearish move in the market. So looking for continuation would be very ideal to at least the lows here. So let's move on to Euro dollar. How's it going, guys? Nice to see you guys. Let's continue here with Euro dollar. Euro dollar still looking at this as potential bearish move. We know that there's correction in the way. We see these correction forming. So very clean that we might be looking for continuation, right? It's just forming correction here. But the ultimate trade would be waiting for the price to completely push out of this structure here. And continuation here would be very ideal for the sell. Okay, so we're getting very close to that, right? We're forming these mini correction. You see a head and shoulder here. You see kind of a pullback, it's still a continuation correction. So it would be nice to continue the price out of the structure here. And, looking for one more confirmation is this lower time frame development here, right? We want to wait for some sort of solid continuation that is continue this move and we'll continue to move down afterwards. So moving on to pound dollar. Pound dollar was asked by someone. Again, it's not my favorite. This is why I don't have it on my watch, because I just don't prefer all this latest bit of the side action. Once again, ever since what price was forming something like this, it's already pretty erratic. And when price start forming this, it's still not going anywhere. Still very indecisive. You see this whole piece of the price is just corrective, right? There's nothing going on here. We broke the previous high. We broke this previous high. Nothing is showing us confirmation yet. Okay, and this is why I don't like this out of the other dollar pairs that we have. I do think dollar pair potential than pound dollar. If I was to, looking for entry here, certainly really not interesting to enter anything within this area. I'd rather see a confirmation breakout, right? Because that's going to confirm that this correction is potentially over. And then if you see a continuation down, all these confirmation here is telling you that this correction is potentially over, and you have a better probability this trade to go down rather than entering here because you have seen move going up and down so far. So the short move is just really not going anywhere. Bitcoin. Well, I'm gonna go over Bitcoin after, bro. But I'm still in Bitcoin if that's what you want to take a look. I am still in Bitcoin. I'm still looking at this for potential bullish run. Just either a few possibility, either a potential move down once more. That's fine with me. I'm always saying that for Bitcoin or for crypto is long term for me. So if this moves down once more to the bottom, completing this larger, currently looking for upside. But if we do see another scenario is if this area here we just kind of form some sort of correction, some sort of reversal, and we just push ups once more, then this move is likely to continue right away from this point. So overall, to me, it's still very bullish, right? There's no doubt about it. This whole move is a bullish move to the upside. So an impulsive phrase always followed by a continuation phrase if it developed deeper and longer, right? And we know the momentum behind this as well. So I'm happy to observe this for long-term perspective, right? Not day trading this. I'm not trading it for a few days only. Holding it weeks, months, years if that's going to give me more opportunities. So let's look at euro dollar here. I mean, sorry, dollar cat here, guys. So this is what I see on dollar cat. I actually like dollar cat a lot. I do see dollar cat for very good potential opportunities here. It's very similar like dollar index, and you see a few dollar pair here that I really like because they are showing a similar kind of price action. On the higher time frame here, this is kind of the previous swing low that price is kind of reacting to. This is a very sharp move to the downside, few correction in the middle, but however, we're approaching to this previous low, and the difference here between all these previous correction is this correction is showing us potential reversal rather than all these ones that we see are continuations. So potential reversal from this bottom, we know that potential double bottom and that we're seeing that this kind of price action is good. So that's why we go down to lower time frame to look for possible development confirmation. And you can see that on the short time on the lower time frame here, price beginning to form this kind of a channel structure. It's very corrective, right? It's not impulsive. And then this latest bit of price, we have a push up and then followed by kind of a correction, and then we push up once again. Looks like it's form of a double. Looks like we're even continuously moving up now, right? We have this pullback to the bottom, but overall, if you see this move, it's still pretty bullish out of this correction. So the key here is to see what will happen here at this point forward. Are we going to get something to develop here? This looks like normal as well we see, just like this is normal, but still that's after impulsive phrase. If we see corrective phrase, it's still likely to give you that potential continuation from this point forward. All right, so waiting for this, maybe to see this price will break out from this point and then continue upwards. I definitely see this one, dollar cat, and a few other dollar pairs looking very clean for further upside. Okay, because the price has been moving down all this much already. We know price has been moving down ever since we got there from the top. And after the COVID, the price eventually kind of declined. But looking for a potential reversal here because these previous parts, we're seeing continuation. These are all continuation corrections. So this time is different because we're looking like this is a reversal correction here. So, okay, so lower time frame, wait for confirmation here, wait to see what price will do. Hey, how's it going? Let's look at dollar yen. Dollar yen is certainly something I'm gonna be looking for this week. One of my favorite actually. So I'll talk about this. So dollar yen here. I talk about this for a couple weeks now when price was still in this kind of channel. I mentioned this is pretty good price action for continuation. We know price. This is clearly a corrective phrase that market is doing, and if we don't break below after this move, you can clearly see that we had a down move correction, another down move. Supposedly should continue, but instead we have a reversal bullish push up. And I was saying that we should look for a continuation out of this correction here. So certainly a correction here, forming inverse head and shoulder, and then a bullish push to the upside, looking for continuation here. Now, this is kind of exactly where price is at now, right? We have this inverse head and shoulder, we push up, and then looking for continuation. Okay, and definitely first target to at least the highs of this correction and to the upper kind of structure of the higher time frame. You can see higher time frame wise, we're still in this structure here though. So still a price to tendency to hit here and start reverse. But I like how we have this impulse up. And this is just years of correction. Certainly a continuation is very ideal in this case. So first thing first, waiting for a lower time frame development here, I think will be very nice to see what price will do in this area and then continue more. So any question, guys, let me know. And then otherwise, I'm just going to continue. EuroCAD, yeah, I'll go over EuroCAD after. Yeah, that's all the dollar pairs that look interest to me. Like I said, Aussie dollar, dollar yen, dollar CAD are pretty good. Okay, euro dollar needs a little more development. Be my favor. Okay, I've seen these kind of structure and price action over and over again in the market. So this is why we backtest and we do a lot of chart work. Is you see these same kind of price action play out over and over again, and it comes down to just probability trading, right? You're not always you're not always going to get it right, but statistical wise, probability wise, this trade is very promising. Okay. Aussie cat still looks really nice. We had this. Remember last week I talked about we had this push down. So even though it's not impulsive, but we still broke out this ascending channel. Nevertheless, we pushed down, kind of looking like a kind of a channel kind of pullback correction. Looks like it broke out a pullback, kind of tricking people out in my opinion, and then still going down afterwards. But that's good. We broke down. This is clearly a correctional phrase now. So we put down, we broke this previous low. More correction down to at least hit the bottom of here, if not the second target here. I do see Aussies still having weakness. I'll go over the two Aussie pair I had last week. May still look for opportunity to get in, right? So, by looking at this from the higher time frame, we still have lots of room to the downside. Looks like it's just the beginning of a potential bearish move to the downside. Okay. So Aussie Swiss was a trade I was in. I went over this in a weekly outlook, but looks like we're continuing down, which is great. This is the same thing as Aussie dollar that I like. We know that price is reacting to this top now. We have this ascending channel, a higher time frame double top, and the reason double top here. Push to the downside, wait for correction, right? It's always waiting for confirmation here. So there was a correction here. This is where I got in. And I just secured a 2% profit there when price began to form this kind of descending channel to pull back. So I exit about 2% or so. Happy with the result, guys. I know that I don't want to hold through a deeper pullback like what we have seen in Aussie yen and a couple of Aussie pairs. And I'm fine with that management because I know that if price is going to continue, I'm still going to get better price action to enter and still have lots of room to the downside. And even on a higher time frame, we're just at the beginning of a potential reversal. It's similar like most of the Aussie pairs. This is a previous kind of swing high top. Price is kind of clear this area, which is always good to see a potential higher time frame double top. And then combining with lower time frame price action is always going to give you better probability trade for entry. So my approach is the same, just kind of waiting to see what will happen here. It might just kind of move deeper like this, and that's even better. We're looking for a breakout entry to the lows. Aussie yen, I do want to talk about. Well, we talk about this briefly in the Telegram as well, and then we see this ascending channel on the structure. Right? I mentioned I had a few trades here, all resulted at the end just break even, no profit for me there. Because I didn't like all this kind of latest bit of price action when it's very indecisive, right? After this move didn't go down and all this is a little bit indecisive, okay? So I want to wait for all this kind of finish to tell me a little bit more kind of uh, more developed. I still like the downside. I still like the downside potential. This is clearly a larger kind of expanding structure. We're at the top now. Price is moving correctively, moving up. We had this kind of double top area as well on the higher time frame. So clearly it's kind of screaming for typical structure like these and to continue the downside. Okay, so it's all about kind of looking for the entry, looking for confirmation at least on the lower time frame, so that you know that this move can potentially reverse back down. So let's see what will happen in this area. It almost looks like an inverse head and shoulder to me. That's kind of was also what I was throwing me off a little bit. Okay, it looks like we're climbing back a little. I mean, me climbing down a little, but I still want to see a little bit more development here. If it's just still going down that way, it's good, right? We broke this previous low. That means all this is just all corrective phrase. We are in the impulsive phase of a higher time frame now. So correction, continuation correction, still have lots of room to the downside, which is good. Hey, thank you, Master Stock. Appreciate it. Thank you. So let's continue here. Pound yen. Someone asked about pound yen for me in Telegram. Um, I remember I talked about pound yen for potential short when it was developing somewhere here. But as this kind of goes on, it looks like it's going to be corrected a little bit more. And this latest bit of the price is okay. You can expect maybe something a structure will develop like this, ascending channel, but nothing is confirmed yet for a downside, right? I don't see a downside yet. Okay, we know that we likely to see a bearish move on the market, but it's not confirmed yet here on the lower time frame for me. It didn't have anything like this where we have like a head and shoulder, top of a structure, kind of bearish momentum coming into the market. Whereas this to me, rather we just look at this latest bit of the price on lower time frame, like 15 minutes. This is just a impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse. So this can just continue onwards. Okay, that's why I'm not seeing any downside potential yet. What it could happen at least is pull back down and form a correction to continue. That would be probably the first sign, but we yet to see that yet. Okay, so at least in this area, you need to wait for a little bit better bearish price action, at least some sort of reversal, if you're planning to short here. If it breaks out followed by correction, then certainly it's going to be the safer trade. And if it continues lower, then obviously breaking out of this higher time frame structure, looking like it's going to the downside after. We see these kind of price action a lot over and over, right? After impulsive phrase, there's going to be a corrective phrase. And after a corrective phrase, there's usually going to be an impulsive phrase. So we're just kind of looking for the next impulsive phrase in the market. Talk about Kiwi Yen here. Kiwi Yen still looking for potential short. Okay, I still see this as a overall kind of ascending structure. It's in. Price still is kind of in this kind of double top area, right? It doesn't have to. Remember, I talk about double top, higher time frame, short or lower time frame. It doesn't have to hit the line or stop. It's all about what price is doing when it reached this area, right? To me, this is not an impulsive phrase like what we see over and over again in the market, right? That's not an impulsive phrase. This is a corrective phrase that we're in, and which is why it's clear that what we likely to see is a potential reversal from this area. Okay. So that's hey guys. I just want to double check. Can you guys see my chart? Okay, give me a second. Uh, Hmm. Okay. We can hear you, but no screen. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I don't know why the screen isn't working. It's weird. Like it's not showing up. But can you see me in person? Screen. Uh, it's weird. Restart. I did restart. Yeah. I'm gonna restart my computer. Okay. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna restart my computer. So give me like a minute, guys. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna restart my computer. Okay. Let me see now. Yeah, it works. Okay. So can you guys see me now and hear me now? I just want to double check. So okay, 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 okay. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened here. But we were on Kiwi Yen, right? We were on Kiwi Yen. Um, so I just want to see everyone's back. Great. Hey, great, great, great. I'm back. Thank you guys. Thanks for being patient with me. This actually never happened to me before. So okay. So Kiwi Yen. So we talk about this mention about, let me see here. Yeah, so I mentioned about the double top. I mentioned about prices not in this in the impulsive phase, but in a corrective phase. That's why it leads to being believed that this can be a reversal structure, reversal price action. This latest bit of price, I was thinking this can be the push out of that. Looks like it's not. So look, we can be seeing this as a reason double top. We can start dropping down, or we can reach to the top of this trend line, top of the structure, and still reverse down. So that's a few possibility here in the upcoming days. I still see this can be that potential reversal to go all the way down to this end of this price action here. Okay, so um, looks possible, but it looks like it needs a little bit more development compared to the other ones here. So, okay, great, great, nice, 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 nice. So continue Euro Aussie. Euro Aussie, I talk about this is time for a reversal, right? This push down afterwards, we did not form a continuation correction. Instead, this is a reversal correction. And we have this kind of reason double bottom and price break all the structure. And I mentioned the confirmation is a continuation, right? So this is a continuation correction. We push the upside now. So certainly looking like we can continue now. I want to see what price will do in this high here. If it breaks higher, certainly we can fall on get into a potential reversal from the price. Because we look at this on a higher time frame, again, price higher time frame wise, this is a previous swing low. We could potentially get a double bottom in this area, and price can like to reverse forward, or it could form a deeper correction like this. But nevertheless, I do think a push up on the lower time frame is very likely here, in my opinion. Yes, I'm gonna go over silver and gold, all that, guys. We'll come back. Okay, I'll finish these currency here, and I'll jump into gold, silver, and all that, all the other ones as well. Okay, we'll just go market by market if you guys don't mind. So All right, so let's continue here. EuroCAD, someone asked about EuroCAD. Remember, I think last week someone asked about me. I mentioned definitely not a sell, at least on the lower time frame, because this looks like an inverse head and shoulder, right? I think I drew this out to that. I didn't enter this or anything, but like I mentioned, this structure here looks clearly as an inverse head and shoulder, right? And when this right shoulder is developing, I don't see any bearish move at all. And it's just because this sideways kind of price action, right? I don't really like this sideways kind of price action. There's no really bull or bear kind of momentum or price action to me. I mean, I draw this out every time, but that's all I see every time, right? And but there's nothing else continue. It looks like this couldn't break the low. This is going back up, right? But that's still in the middle of nowhere. I don't really like to trade these type of price action. I, if I have to say, I definitely see more bullish move likely to happen, but it's not really in my entry or trade to do something like this. Okay, but looking like this is an inverse hand show very clearly, right? So looks like this can continue upwards as well. Pound Swiss. I did want to go over. This is interesting. There's also a reason why I kind of really didn't like Pound Swiss or all the other pound pairs for that matter is when price was kind of correcting in this area. From a higher time frame perspective though, right? This is kind of a higher time frame kind of parallel channel. We're at the top of the structure here, and look like this is kind of a ascending channel in the making. It's not finished yet, anything can happen. But it looks like we are in a corrective, which is good, right? We want to be seeing corrective at the top of the structure when we're looking for reversals. Because it's very likely that if this is going to be that reversal ascending channel, once the finish corrects, we can see that further downside, even all the way to the low. That's certainly a possibility because we're not seeing a very strong bullish breakout, right? Ultimately, I still see this. It could be a long correction to go up, but we're not seeing that yet because move to the upside, we're not seeing a bullish move to breaking out, and B, we're seeing this kind of more of a corrective price action rather than a continuation price action to break out. And that's why, to me, it still lead to believe that this correction may not be over. We might see a push to the downside. Okay, but not yet ready. I want to see what will happen in this latest bit of the price, and then kind of take it from there moving forward. Okay. So that is all the currency I'm looking at, guys. Not too much. Mentioned Aussie dollar is good. Aussie dollar looks like it's could be filling up potential. Euro dollar is good if we break out of this higher time frame structure. Dollar for continuation. We know that we're at the bottom now, and dollar yen is I think my favorite. Price broke out this overall inverse head and shoulder and all of this large corrective structure. So looking for a continuation is ideal. And Aussie Swiss, I was in Aussie Swiss, got out, but look like this can just continue downwards now. So certainly look for more continuation. That would be nice. And Euro Aussie, it's very similar like Aussie Swiss, right? We broke up now, so certainly more bullish upside. Okay, so these are the ones that I'm focusing on, or at least the ones I'll be looking at for this week. And we'll see what else develop. So let's look at some commodities here. I know we were talking about commodities. Let's go over silver then. I know everyone's talking about silver. So why don't we talk about silver and kind of we go over what we know from silver. I'll go over this from two different perspectives. I know everyone's talking about it, obviously, for a certain reason. I hear about this as well. So let's talk about this from you guys know I usually don't talk about fundamental, but um, that's something different here. At least with commodities, I don't mind talking about silver here. So um, let's talk about fundamentals first. If you didn't catch this, make sure you watch a post I made today. Let me see if I can get that. Oops. Let me see if I can get that post. I made a post today about silver, so if you're interested, you can read this over. I'll kind of just elaborate what I mean here on the charts here. Okay. So let's talk about silver fundamentally. Okay, fundamentally. To me, at least for silver, I think everyone knows it's pretty much underpriced for value. Of course, yes, I do agree silver is way underpriced because it's controlled, right? Because it's controlled. So fundamentally, this is what I think. if we see 2008 when the market crashes, we had this kind of impulse correction impulse. So silver was pretty low as a been obviously back in maybe 1970s. I don't have that much data, but obviously maybe 1970s was much cheaper. But obviously there's inflation, right? So $8 is really really low, right? It was like the lowest point it can possibly be, and then there's a surge to the upside, and then you just going on to a massive bull run, right? From like $8 9 all the way to I think like $50 or so. This is 2011 when most things start dropping down, most things start correcting. And if you look at what price is doing, is that once it reached all that high, it's just naturally for price to decline, right? We've seen this what in Bitcoin, right? Exactly. Yes, Bitcoin. This is exactly what Bitcoin is doing, right? And then you have a huge decline, a period of a consolidation here, right? So, anyways, fundamentally, when all this is dropping down, again, you can see that price is not getting lower than $13 or so. Why? Because there's inflation from 2008 all the way to 2013 or 15, sorry. So 6 years of inflation, you just cannot get lower than production cost of silver, right? You understand there's production cost of silver where you need to have labor, you need to have mining, you need to have a lot of a lot of costs, right? Associate even 1 ounce of silver, let's say if it's like, $13, there's still probably a lot of, seven, eight, nine, $10. I don't know how much, but there's a lot. It just cannot get lower than that. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense to produce silver, right? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so fundamentally, that's what I think. That's why you can see prices just not going lower than this. There's a few times, right? This is like a double bottom, triple bottom, so to speak, right? But prices is not getting for silver to be in production if it's getting lower. Like there's no revenue for the company to make silver, right? If it doesn't cover the enough raw material costs, labor costs, overhead costs, everything associated with producing silver, there's cost to it, right? So that's what I think from a fundamental side of things. Okay, fundamental side of things, that's what I think. Um, and technically, let's get into the technical side of things. Again, we talk about this big scoop over and over again in any markets, right? This is exactly the same thing. Technically, we're seeing this pretty much a double bottom or triple bottom, you want to call. Really doesn't matter because all it's telling us that a bullish move in the making. If we didn't have this coronavirus, if we didn't have that market crash, honestly, this looks to me like it was going up from this point. Now, if you're just looking at this chart, ignore what's already happened, ignore coronavirus, we see that technically we have all this reversal correction. We have a huge impulse up, huge larger correction we're usually to see, period of consolidation, impulse, correction, impulse, large correction in the making. This likely to go up. This is what we see over and over in the price. If coronavirus didn't happen, if we didn't have that crash, likely price is just going to exactly go off from that correction, from this correction here and going to upside. But coronavirus happened, but really, what does that change? It really just slowed down what silver is doing, right? Silver pushed it up downside, but still recover right away, right? So pretty much you're just thinking of it as, well, this is still impulse, this is just still a correction, this is just all the coronavirus. But if you just limit continue to the upside. Okay, and that's kind of pretty much what I see from this point. We have this bullish push to the upside. I was kind of short term seeing silver may go down to the lows here, but that didn't happen, right? We see that this can be a larger continuation correction on a higher time frame, we're in this consolidation here, and we're just likely to continue, right? If this correction develops, it can develop taking longer, it can develop into something like this. Who knows what it will do? But it is in a consolidation phase, right? We're not in an impulsive phase, which we were at before. All these that I'm pointing on are impulsive phase, right? We're not in the impulsive phase. We're looking like we're in a corrective phase so far. If this is going to correct itself, let it correct itself longer. If this is the time that this is going to break out, then look for continuation, right? I know that we've been talking about silver a lot because of the current market, current trend. We believe what we believe, right, guys? So what you want to take from all this is if silver is going to take off from here, then look for a possible entry here, right? Look for this correction to finish, look for a lower time frame correction, look for the next buy. right? We expect if this is going to be all the correction to correct this whole move, then at least the price will hit the next high. And then if we break out continue, then go for all-time high here, right? And then that is exactly what we see in Bitcoin. Huge upside, decline, and then take off after, right? So that is what I see on silver, both fundamentally and technically. Okay, but I'm still a technical trader nevertheless, so I still see this technical weights more for me. I'm just still some merit in it, right? We all know silver is pretty much underpriced in all aspects, right? So something like this, something like a surge like this, something like a surge like GameStop would be very possible, right, guys? So just thought I mentioned that. So okay, so that is over for me. Like I said, I made a post here, so if you're interested in what I just kind of go over, you can read this post. It's pretty much summarized of kind of what I talked about just now. So I'll go over gold really quick. So pretty similar from a higher time frame approach, right? It's just that the gold lower time frame isn't as clear. So really still a potential buy. This is strong bullish push to the upside. This looks like a continuation correction in the making. So certainly a potential continuation from the previous move is very likely. What I don't like or what I don't prefer is that it looks like this is a continuation, right? This looks like a bearish push to the downside. This looks like a continuation correction to push down. And I expect this move to happen. Nevertheless, I talk about this kind of for all these previous week in the stream. I mentioned I do prefer a push to the downside, potential completing this flag structure and look for more upside afterwards, right? This is clearly an impulse correction. We can see a next impulse if we get the right kind of reversal price action from the bottom and expect this bullish move to the upside. And that's why it's obviously not going to trade here to buy or sell. I'd rather see price push down and reverse. Okay, and this is why it's kind of contradicting to silver. If silver was the one that's going to break out now, then continuation to break out. Right? Usually they will match, right? Not always, but ultimately it depends on each pair, right? Each instrument not always going to have 100% correlation. Okay, so gold to me looks like this can be a potential short-term drop, but ultimately my goal or my plan is to buy from the bottom of this higher time frame continuation structure and look for more upside. There's going to be many opportunity to buy from the bottom, right? And from the middle, from the breakout, and moving upwards. There's going to be many opportunities. Okay, so that is what I see on gold. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go over indices after, guys. So any question on these, gold and silver? I think silver was brought up. I can see why, and I can see honestly Wall Street Bets point of view on that as well. So I read about this. I was thinking, oh, okay, yeah, what he says actually makes sense from his point of view. And I'm just adding in my technical point of view. That's all. So. Okay, so any question, guys? So let's continue to indices. I know. Let's talk about most of the indices. I do see that I talk about this pretty much for months, right? And looks like we finally could be getting that, right? We finally could be getting that bearish kind of potential from the market. And I do want to point out this, guys. This is what I also think why the market indices are bearish and equities are bearish. There's a reason why, right? And this is I explained this in my video, but this is what it makes sense because if you guys been following the news about all those hedge fund versus the retail trader on GameStop, what the hedge funds are doing is when they're losing billions, they have to sell their other stocks, right? They have to sell their other stocks to cover their losses. They need cash equivalent to cover. Okay, so this is why all the equities here, if you look at me, it's all red, right? And really all the indices are all red. This is because they need to sell their stocks to cover, right? That's pretty much what it is. So expect, this is why I've been kind of saying this beginning of the week, expect a bearish equity market this week or onwards, except those few other. but most of the stocks is going to be in red because they're probably doing a sell-off to cover their cash. Okay, so let's talk about Dow Jones here. Talk about this pretty much every stream, and like mentioned, wait for this correction to complete, right? Wait for this continuation correction. We want to see a strong bearish impulse breaking out of this correction. Looks like we're getting that. So continuation correction, look for the sell. It's very simple, right? This is going to give you the best probability and the best setup, the safest entry in my opinion, because we complete a lower time frame correction and we're about to complete this higher time frame structure. The momentum is in our side. So definitely see this just like a couple other US indices for that continuation. Certainly see more downside potential on most of them, right? Most of them is looking very, very clean for that bearish reversal for the price. So pretty much identical. We're in this ascending channel. I mentioned about this many times. Don't try to jump into the trade when it's in the corrective phase. When price is in the impulsive phase, it's going to give you better probability, better setup, safer entries, right? Safer entry is always what you need to think about as a trader for a long-term approach. So we push down, looking like we're breaking out. And this is why I mentioned also, don't just jump into a sell like this. This is how the market tends to trap people. Wait for that last bit of confirmation. Whatever correction it's going to make here is going to be the last bit of confirmation. You're likely to enter these, it's going to be higher probability setup than trying to enter like a breakout or something like that. Even though our potential bearish sign is the same, but entry wise, this is going to save you a lot more money. So that's 100, exactly similar price action than the other two that we just go over, right? We're in this ascending reversal structure. This is not an impulse phrase. This is not an impulsive phrase. This is a corrective phrase. That's the only two difference between the two, right? We've seen these structure play out over and over again in the market, right? When you see ascending channel, whether you see them at the top of the overall price action, they are likely to reverse the price. That's always how the price moves, especially in these indices, right? This is why backtesting, do a lot of backtesting is always going to help you better at identifying them before they happen in the next time in the live market condition. So we talk about this every week, every month, and looks like we can potentially get that. And it kind of nice saying kind of bias on all the equities are likely to drop. Those hedge funds are selling their other assets to cover their losses, right? We're looking like we're getting more red. So we'll see what happened here. Okay. Again, it's kind of breaking out the structure. Don't jump into the trade. You should always some sort of correction, right? You need to wait for a correctional lower time frame correction to give you that one last bit of confirmation. Look for the sell afterwards. Okay, so one last one to go over Aussie 200. I think Aussie 200 is probably looking just as clean as these US indices. I do like the overall price, how this last bit of the price has been. I think this is very clear that we might see a reversal from this top. Judging by where we are right now, right? We this is coronavirus crash. We recover the price where we're in this kind of a expanding structure. This last bit of the price, this last bit of structure here is not an impulsive raise, right? It's not even a continuation correction. It's not. It is more of a ascending channel neutral correction, looking very likely that we're like going to see a reversal for the price to look for a little bit more confirmation on the lower time frame. Lower time frame here, top of this ascending channel looks like there's a reversal structure. Push the downside again. You see how it breaks out the structure a little bit. Quickly reverse up, trapping a lot of traders before still resuming to the downside. This is why don't enter something like this, and don't even enter something like this. In my opinion, is waiting for some sort of correction here, and to look for the further downside from this. You don't have to have that fear of missing out. This is what a lot of traders do. They feel like if they don't enter here, they're going to lose this entire run. Not likely, right? Price is not likely to move that fast. There's always going to be correction to get in, correction to get in. Okay. So let's continue here. Any other question on these guys? Any other question on these indices I just went over? Okay, so let's continue. Let's wrap it up with crypto. Let's wrap it up with crypto and see what it is, see what happens. EJ, yeah, let's finish EJ before we jump into crypto loss. Well, we didn't see, at least we didn't see the completion of this correction. Remember we talked about this when price dropped down, and I was kind of looking forward to see what will price is going to do if it breaks out, but looks like we bounce off this bottom and then pushing all the way up to this. So that's why it kind of keep me less interested in it for now. This can still be a potential double top. We can still see more bearish price action, but this whole move breaking up structure kind of put me off a little bit. I felt like there's more uh, potential move. This bearish move may not be all the one that's going to continue downwards. So I would expect, or at least I would observe a little bit more in this case. I think there's a couple of yen pairs need a little bit of development, like Aussie yen was being one, and Kiwi yen as well. And that's why the yen pairs, at least for me this week, they're not really on my watch list because I don't think that none of them are ready yet. Okay, so that's what I see on euro yen. So let's look at crypto. Let's look at a few crypto here. So Bitcoin, I'm still in this Bitcoin trade. Like I mentioned, I'm in this for the long run. Worry about securing a couple percent profit here. I'm more seeing this as a long-term approach. This is rather corrective, so it look like we can be in the corrective phase before continue after all this bullish push to the upside. And I'm fine with holding it. I'm fine with treating it as more of a difference between trading where we're getting into the trade maybe a few days, 1 or 2 week, whereas investing will be weeks, month, year potential. So I see that structurally, this is trying to make a bigger correction, bigger consolidation. It's good because it's the more it develops, the more likely that this is just a correction phase to correct all this bullish move since the bottom, and then we're just likely to see continuation afterwards. Okay, so that is still my approach long term. I'm holding this long term. I have a bigger position on it, so I'm not worried about typical trading kind of aspect. It's more as investing purposes. So a few options here I mentioned could potentially move definitely before it reverse up, and then we'll see structure maybe like this. That's one potential. Or we might just get Monday morning New York session open. This becomes like a corrective phrase, then we just kind of take off afterwards. I'm still eager to see what Monday morning New York session will be for obviously equity markets. Right, as we all know what's going on in the U.S. equity markets with all those GameStop and things like that. So I expect market open on Monday um, to experience something different. And certainly currency, dollar pairs, crypto, they might all be affected by it. So we'll see how it is. So Bitcoin, that is how I see on Bitcoin is potential. Stellar, I'm looking still at Stellar. I still think Stellar has a potential. You can see there's two ways kind of looking at structure like this. You can potentially see a bigger structure like this, or you can treat it as something like this. Whatever it is, we're obviously still looking to see what price will do when we break this high, right? Price push the upside, kind of again chopping a lot of traders because it forms just a deeper consolidation here. I still have a lot of bullish bias for me on Stellar. I still think it can really climb up all the way past the high, if not higher. We see again these kind of overall scoop that I talk about in Bitcoin and over as well, right? So this is the period of time where we want to see what will happen and then continue upwards. Okay, so that's what I see on Stellar. Someone asked me about Ripple. I yeah, certainly would don't mind talking about Ripple. What I see on Ripple here, obviously there was some news regarding from a technical perspective in this last bit of the price. Looks like there is a push up followed by a correction and then push up again. So I do think a correction here would be ideal. I think this is kind of what the price is showing us now. We had a surge to the upside and there was a correction here. I was looking for a buy opportunity here. Didn't work out. Actually took a loss here because of this news event with SEC or things like that. But looking at what the latest price is telling us, certainly this bit of the price, just this bit of the price, is looking pretty bullish to me for bullish continuation. Yeah. Any question on these guys? Any question on these? Uh, you heard about the pump for today? Pump for what though? Just curious. Pump for what? Like market, what pair, what stock? XRP. No, I don't. I don't have these feeds. Sometimes I don't have that much feed, but just kind of talking about it from a technical perspective. But if there's a pump, I guess that's good, right? That's good for. Is it? That's good for buyers potential. All right, but if this is the pump that you're in, certainly if there's going to be more buyers, then continuation, right? This looks clearly as a continuation price action. Perhaps. Yeah, I mean, I made a video about talking about GME, GameStop, and what's going on in the market. Feel free to watch that on my YouTube. I talk about this because I think it's going on quite often. So I kind of want to give my point of view on it. I think it's uh pretty. I mean, things that people should know what's going on right now. So yeah, I mean, there's likely to be a big pump in silver as well, right? If you're talking about what you have read, I mean, I actually think silver makes a lot more sense, in my opinion. So I definitely see silver can be a potential push to the upside as well. So yeah, thank you there so much for your session. Appreciate it. Yeah, all my video here I can show you. Right, I post on Telegram. I post them mostly on YouTube. So if you're interested, all my video is streams, all my actual price action stuff. I go do a lot of price action, different videos on different price action that you can see. So I make them all in videos so you can find out all about these. It's easier to see. Okay. And yeah, I post all my updates in Telegram, right? I do all my videos, all my posts, it's all here. So it's you can see to find all my posts, lessons and things that's on here. So if you're interested, you can join that. Yeah. Is silver also seen as a hedge like gold? Uh, it's like what we said. Silver is undervalued, right? So silver is undervalued, right? It's somewhat controlled. Um, but you never know what will happen. But what we are seeing now is, let me pull up if I can see that. Um, I can't find it. Anyways, Nifty, yeah, yeah. I'm just looking at what people what they're saying about silver. That's all, you know. So yeah, what I see on Nifty. Let's take a look at Nifty. So what I see in Nifty, pro US indices, right? We push to the upside, and it looks like this is a double top M style pattern. Price is dropping, right? I think waiting for a deeper consolidation would be more ideal. This is still pretty sharp move, even though it's what we usually see in the indices, right? You usually see this type of ascending structure before the push down. Very similar like what we're looking at here on the US one here. Okay. Um, but I think structurally, these US one looks a little bit more clear than me than Nifty here. Looks could be a structure here, so again, a continuation correction would be nice. We broke all-time high here, right? But again, we broke all-time high. We move up correctively rather than impulsively, in my opinion. Right? So that's what I see on Nifty there. Unit swap. What is yeah, this is all I come see. Obviously, this is we don't have too much data, right? This is just a strong push to the upside, but that's all we can expect. We certainly, if you're just looking at this lower, obviously we look like we're pushing up more. So a correction here, lower time frame, sure, but higher time frame, we see these over and over again, right? It's a huge push to the upside and then usually a decline before it continue. Right? I don't know how far, how long this is taking off or what it is, but if you look at every other crypto, it's the same kind of way, right? Push the upside high, drop down, period consolidation for a period, and then eventually push up afterwards. All right, so that's why for now I'm not seeing too much on that one particular. Okay, so any other question, guys? Any other question for me to go over? Any pair? Any other ones I want to take a look at? I would happy to go over anything that you guys are looking at. If you see anything you want me to take a look. Tesla. Yeah, I can. Dollar index. I'll start dollar index first. I went over dollar index earlier. I still see dollar index potentially still see the dollar strength, right? That's still kind of my bias, right? It's fine with a bias, right? You should have a bias when you look at things like this. It may or may not work on your favor, but you should, analyze the market this way, right? Anyways, I still prefer to see a potential bias for the dollar here. We're still in this structure here though, so anything can happen. This can move down once here before we reverse, or this is the time that this. We don't know yet, and we don't need to guess where when it's going to do. We can speculate, right? We can be on the sideline, waiting for that strong bullish breakout followed by continuation. That's going to give you a lot more confluence on most of the dollar pairs that's going to happen, and certainly looking for a continuation. Once this structure completes, this can go on indefinitely, as I talk about. Structurally can stretches on or extend, evolve indefinitely. And that's why we don't get trapped at these small breakouts or things like that, right? We wait for confirmation from a price action point of view. Tesla. Let's talk about Tesla. Not seeing too much on Tesla. Kind of expect once price pushes all the way up this strong, likely there's going to be a deeper correction, right? Deeper correction, after the deeper correction. So in my opinion, same kind of approach uh, in this area. I think there is potential in this area. For a larger continuation, we're likely to see further upside. All right, so that is my approach still. I still like the overall bullish move that Tesla has been in. I don't think this is all the correction it needs to correct all this move though. So expect a bigger correction if you're going to look for a buy. Aussie dollar gap open today. Can I have your thoughts on gap open? Do they always fill? Usually how long and why? Uh, I mean, gapping is sometimes it will just happen in the market, right? It doesn't have to be any news or any event. Okay, when you seen enough, when you kind of see enough market open, sometimes that happens, right? It doesn't have to be news or event. First of all, that's one thing. Do they always fill? Not necessarily. I don't say they always fill. If you think this move will push up to here, not always. I don't really see it. It shouldn't be a way to trade if you think, okay, we have a gap open. If a gap open, I feel we actually don't think that should be a strategy at all because it randomly varies, right? People say yes, it fails or not. To me, really, it's irrelevant in my opinion. It's kind of for me, it's about what the price action will do after all that, right? Sure, let it fill, let it not fill, really doesn't matter. I'm expecting a correction here to give me a confluence. So whether it happens, it's not too relevant to me personally when I look for an entry. How long and why? Again, that varies, right? So I really don't think that's it's not a make or break situation in my opinion, if that makes sense. Right? If you're holding a trade before the weekends, you should adjust your stop loss. You know that increase and things like that. So don't make sure you understood that if you're holding a trade through the weekend. I know some funds don't allow you to hold trade through weekend. I personally do. I'm fine holding through the weekend. I understand the risk. I understand what I'm doing. Sometimes in order to capture a bigger move, you just have to hold through the weekend, right? So euro dollar. Yeah, I went over euro dollar in the beginning. I still see this as a very clear kind of bearish move. We have this ascending channel from the top, price drop down, and then again another continuation correction, another continuation correction. So I really wouldn't enter here though. I would enter when the price completes the breakout. It's going to give you a little bit better confluence for that sell, and I expect the price to push all the way at least to the lows here if this continuation happens, and if this bearish breakout happens. Okay, so that is what I see on euro dollar. is it time to buy US yen? Well, dollar yen, US yen, dollar yen is my favorite going into this week. Dollar yen is clearly my favorite for a long entry. I like this price action. I like this inverse head and shoulder pattern. I like this breakout, right? So I would wait for a solid correction here. Uh, you know, Potential breakout after correction entry. Look for the next upside. That is how I would look for a possible entry on dollar yen. I went over euro dollar. Aussie it's pretty good as well. Same thing with Aussie Swiss, right? So we have this descending channel, price breakup, followed by a correction, and looking for further upside from this point forward. Okay, but dollar yen is indeed my favorite though. I still think dollar yen is still one of my go-to one to go. This pretty much is in one of my go-to setup, right? So it's clearly what I will be looking for in the market. All right, so dollar yen very favorable. I like this pair. I like this entry. Couple other U.S. indices, they all look very bearish to me. Okay, usually what we see when dollar gains strength is usually when dollar stocks, like equity stocks, U.S. stocks drops. We've seen the correlation of that in some sense. So again, this can all because of the whole shenanigan happening with GameStop and with all the hedge funds, right? Again, my thought process is this: the hedge funds have to sell their stocks, right? Because they're in deep, deep shit, right? This is why equities are dropping. If you see my equity list, this is all red. This is likely because the hedge funds are selling their other assets, right, to cover their loss. So they have to do that in order to certainly sustaining. That's what happened. So, how do you trade forex? Uh, you mean what platform? What broker? I use OND platform. X Capital and so on. What do you mean by that? Master stocks. So, any other thing, guys? Oh, okay, yeah, certainly. Let's talk about dollar yen details. What kind of leverage? Personally, I trade with Oanda, so they only offer 50 to 1 leverage on in Canada. There's obviously higher leverage, but I don't really need it. I think higher leverage doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna make more money. Higher leverage is likely for a beginner to blow their money. I hope that makes sense, because higher leverage is how people over leverage trade, and revenge trade, and that's how they blow their account, right? So I only need 50 to 1 for leverage. How much money you invest in your account? Well, I just opened a corporate account. You can check that out. Let me see if I can find it. I just put a corporate showcase all my trade moving forward. So usually my plan is to risk 1% of your trading capital. That's my risk management. So trade with 1% of your total capital. Okay, and let me show you one of them. In. So 1% per trade. No more than one trade open on the same currency unless the first trade is secure or in profit. I plan to take 8 to 10 trades per month. I will move my stop loss to break even. Once I see impulsive trades on lower time frame, I'm minimum looking for 3 to 1, looking to take profit around 3 to 1, 4 to 1. So that's my risk management plan. So if I was to look for Let me restart again. Okay, sorry guys. Can you guys all hear me now or see my chart? Or continue? I don't know what part or miss. So I was talking about Master, you're asking about the entries, right? So I don't know which part did you guys get or catch, but let's go over again. Like I said, in the Telegram, I post what I'm planning to trade in terms of risk management and things like that. So this is a section where it talks about. So feel free to take a look at that. And that is my management. So if I was to take a trade on dollar yen to, for as example, I don't know what this correction will form or how deep or how wide. So this is only an estimate or just a forecast. So usually I would put as a breakout correction or breakout entry, something like this. I don't know what will happen. So I'm just kind of speculating here. So I'd say with the 60 pip stop loss, um, I will be aiming to the top of this structure here. But first will be the beginning of this structure here, about 3 to 1 or so. Okay, that will be my first target. Excuse me, guys. So first target to the top of the structure, top of the higher time frame structure, almost 8 to 1, something like this. That's what I would plan to trade, or at least forecast a potential bullish run. But like I said, I'm not just blindly enter. I need to see a little bit more confirmation on this area here to look for a possible buy. Okay, so hope that makes sense. Dollar index. I went over dollar index, but I can go over again. Very straightforward on this, on dollar index. For what on this structure here, right? Talk about anything. This correction may or may not still be finished. We can either see a push to the downside before resume, or likely to just break out now. So I don't need to speculate when it'll do that. I just know that this is a correction in the making, waiting for the next bullish move to the upside. Give me a second. What's my outlook on the dollar strength this year? Well, I do expect, or I do have a bias for the dollar continuation on most of the dollar pairs. So most of them are at an area where they could really fall on leading to the next bearish move, right? Aussie dollar, Euro dollar as well. I think dollar CAD is also looking very clean for that. All the dollar pairs are in the beginning stage of development. So also looking like it. Dollar yen. So most of the dollar pair is looking very clean, right, to me. So I do have a bias for the dollar strength. And usually when dollar strength comes in, most of the U.S. indices and equities is going to decline, right? So give me a second, guys. Sorry. Copper and platinum. Yeah, let's go over those. Do I think the stock market will crash soon? I don't want to say crash like a coronavirus crash, right? I don't want to see a coronavirus crash, but we're seeing the same price action over and over again in the market, right? So I do expect a bearish move to the downside. I don't know if it's going to be a crash like this, but certainly a move down is likely or possible. Um, Copper and platinum, yeah, let's do that. So platinum, I talk about in the daily, looks like it's continued to going upside, which is kind of what I was talking about when price in this area. We did have this continuation to push the price up to the upside, which is good. This is the larger correction now in the making, right? This is larger correction in the making, but we continue to push the upside. Um, all you kind of have to see is, are we going to break this previous high? If we are, then I do expect more further upside. Price has been much uh, further up, in my opinion, right? This is 2008 crash, and we have just been in this period of consolidation. But if we just can break this previous high, we might just go on into that full bullish move to the upside. Copper wise, not seeing too much here. I was looking at it more like this, a potential structure like this. Looks like we're at the top now, so nothing here yet. No sell, no buy. It's just kind of stalling in this area. So a little bit more development here would be nice. This could just be a one big push down, and this is a continuation to the downside. But again, not my favorite, not too clear to me at the moment. Yeah, have a good night. Thanks, Master of Stock. See you soon. Yeah, see you, buddy. So yeah, any other question, guys? Any other questions you ask me about? So all right, guys. So no other question. I will be happy to end the stream here. If this is the first time you see me do these streams, welcome to see these. Right, I do them 3 times a week. During London, Asia, and New York sessions. I try to do one in each session. So if you watch these, if you like these, feel free to add me on TradingView or YouTube so you can see me update that periodically. Okay. So thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful week. Hope to see you guys in my stream. Thank you very much.